Hello and good evening. Welcome to another Wednesday night spectacular. We are tying flies in support of Project Healing Waters fly fishing, more specifically the St. Cloud program. Project Healing Waters, we meet at the St. Cloud where at least we used to, meet at this exact same time slot. Wednesdays from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock, and I'm looking forward to getting back to that sooner than later. Anywho, ever since the coronavirus stay-at-home orders were initiated, shutdown sequence, we've been live streaming here each and every week, Wednesdays from 6 to 8 Central, and mostly we've been focused in on warm water fish, uh, panfish flies, etc., etc. But tonight we're going to be doing some spruce moths. I was doing some reading and came across a spruce moth pattern, and then I did something what most people do nowadays, and they jump onto YouTube. And then they watch a lot of YouTube videos, just like you're sitting here right now. And I started tying some spruce moths, some spruce moth, some spruce moth, spruce moth, spruce moth, moth spruce. Say that a million times fast. That's pretty fun. Anywho, that's why we're calling this my spruce moth. Nothing fancy about it. It's kind of I'm taking little bits from a few different patterns, and um, it is what it is, and it's not what it's not. So thank you for tuning in. Smart Mouth, thanks for joining us tonight. Good to see you as always. Be sure to hit that like button, click subscribe if you care, notification bell. We do this, I don't know, it's really become a jam as far as a YouTuber creating content and making videos and such. Because I think I think I talked a little bit about this last week or the week before, probably a million other times, but doing this as a live stream, you as the viewer get to see exactly almost 100% of what happens. Obviously, there's stuff that happens behind the camera that you guys can't see. Trust me, it's just a hot mess on that side. If you think this side looks crazy, you should see that side. But this is my little world. This is my room, and judge me if you want. Don't care. Um, but I think what yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's easy to sit and watch things that are polished, full production value. I mean, how fun would it be? I don't know. Would I still have as much fun and enjoyment if I didn't have the stress of the whole puzzle crumbling due to the delay that's happening? So, nothing you'll ever see coming out of here will be absolutely perfect, and it is never the be all end all of anything that is fly tying or fly fishing. Imagination is your only limitation, and I think we should just have some fun and tie some flies tonight. So this is going to be my spruce moth. Like I said, it is kind of a combination of a few different moth patterns, and you start looking up moth patterns, and there's probably as many different moth patterns out there that there are actually moths. So, and that's a lot. So, anyways, headed to Montana here in 10 days' time. So, we have this week. Let me flip my calendar over already because I'm already into July mentally. We'll meet again here on the 7th next week, and then we'll take a week off. So, give everybody a little heads up. I'll be gone fishing. And I'm going to tie these on a size 12 dry fly hook. And it's not just a standard little kind of straight shank. Got a little curve to it. And this is made by Moonlit ML055. Like I said, it's a size 12. And to start things off, we need to start off with some thread. And when you close your eyes and you think of a spruce moth, or just kind of most moths in general, we're just going for ultimately something that is small-ish, largest, about a size 12, at least in this case. And ultimately, in the end, it's a triangle. That's kind of what the fish is going to see. So don't overthink it, I say. I'm going to be using a 10-aught thread, and check this out. We're going to go all the way back to the end of the hook. And it's kind of hard to determine really where the bend of the hook begins and the shank ends sometimes. But we'll approximate that right about there. We're going to do a dubbing loop, but we're not going to use any dubbing in the loop. I don't know why I'm trying to bring that all the way forward. I want to park that back here because we're going to do some actual dubbing. And a dubbing noodle. And I'm going to be using a Antron sand, a little sandy tan colored Antron. This is in a little variety assortment pack. Looking for synthetic, something that's going to probably give us a little high probability of floating. And we're going to touch in just a little dab of dub. And what do we know about dubbing? We know that less is more or less. We can always add more. In fact, you can always take it away too, but it's easier to add. Good evening, Tacoma. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Awesome. Glad you could join us. Hope you're staying cool up there. We're going to do one turn of our little dubbing noodle behind our dubbing loop. And we're going to do a little tapered body, which means we're going to start off narrow and then we're going to build it up just a little bit thicker, a little more thicker than thinner. And like I said, with our dubbing, we're going to stick with the less is more mentality and then just kind of slowly add it as we need it. Relatively tight body. We're not going for super scraggly. And we're going to go ahead and just park that right there. All right, moving on up. What's next? Some dry fly hackle. This is the cream of the crop of the bronze grade. It's not the best, but it is a bronze. That's what, third place? So congratulations to this pack of hackle that has received the bronze rating. Some good old... Sometimes you need to get your hands on some good quality stuff, and just this half a bird was more than I wanted to pay. So it's a good thing we keep our eyes on the discount bins. And let's go ahead and just pluck off our feather. And for size reference, I don't want, this isn't, this is our hackle gauge, and this is going to give us a reading if it was like a dry fly hackle up front and such. And this is reading out about 14 and to 16 and smaller. And this is what I want. I want it to be, even though we're doing a tying on a size 12 hook, I want this hackle to be a little bit undersized, if you will, or if you won't. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the quill. We're going to just trim off our lower part to right about here until we get to our meat and potatoes of our fly. Give it a little high and tight little notch on either side of that quill. Turn into from our big barbs to our little barbs. Tie this in. Can you see where we're going for this? We're going to, before we go too far back, we're going to spin our dubbing loop. And our dubbing loop is going to be a little ribbing to lock in our hackle. But it's not going to be a wire, which means it's not going to be weight. We'll just chalk that up to time delay. Work our way front to back. And this is where the good hackle, you're not going to get this with a small little saddle hackle or anything like that. This has to be some good old dry fly hackle. So we're going to do 1-2 turns right here, nice and tight at the rear. And then I'm just going to work my way forward. Nice and even. Be mindful of that tip of that hook. I keep bopping it. I can hear it. And every now and then I'm going to spin my little dubbing loop forward, because I'm trying to keep this thread nice and taut. And work right through that hackle. Bada boom, bada bing, all the way up front. I don't know, I left maybe a little bit more than an eye's width up front. A little bit of real estate up front to work with, because we still got to tie in our wings, which is going to be pretty groovy once we get there. You're going to like what we do. Have a little bit of Rogue UV resin, and instead of wiping it up, I just zapped it with my light. Alright. So we got almost the full house tonight. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We're working on my moth. So we got our little gray dun hackle. Some good looking stuff. I'm going to give it a little smush up top. Give it a little coax, give it a little pet. A little bit on either side, nice and even. Just smash it, mush it. That's alright. Alright, so next we're going to do our underwing. And what you could do for your underwing is you could use a parapost wing material, which I can't find actually, which is why I am using an equivalent of some crinkle hair. And if you're using like a parapost wing material, you're not going to need much. It doesn't take much. So, and what we know is less is more. And I can take one tiny little piece. I'm going to fold it over once, and then I'll fold it over twice. And actually, I need to set this off to the side for the moment, because I need to borrow just a little bit of thread. I'm actually going to borrow some 210 denier flat wax thread, and we're not going to need much of this. just going to take it and tie this in on top. One piece, one strand of 210 denier. Some good old flat wax thread right on top. Because we're going to use this to split a wing here in just a moment. You guys are going to like this. Okay, now on to my underwing. Got half of it going to one side at an angle. We'll fold this over and we'll bring this right over to here. So in the end, we'll be able to pull this up and over and split wing, and it's going to be pretty groovy, I might say. But for now, we're going to keep it tucked down. I'm going to trim these to length, right about to the end of the bend, because it's an underwing, not our main wing. Alright, for our main wing, we're going to use some deer hair, and I actually had to do some digging to find this. This is quite the deer hair. This is the white little patch. I don't know, let me spin this out of the way. Maybe the camera will pick it up a little bit better. So it's deer hair, and previously it was chopped up on this side, and then we just kind of been working our way. Like each one of those little dimples, that's actually kind of cool. It almost looks like call that art. I'm not sure how that's coming across on like a 42-inch flat screen TV if you're watching it. What you can do, you can definitely cast your YouTube videos directly to your TV devices and such. Alright, let's go ahead and tie in our wings. Grab a small clump of this deer hair with these beautiful white little tips. It's pretty neat. And who wants to guess what we're going to do next? We're going to clean this. All hair must be cleaned. When I say clean, it means we're going to just clean out the under fur and fuzz. And you can give it a little twist, a little flick, but definitely rotate it in your fingertips. That's kind of key, I think. Alright, we're going to run this through our hair stacker. We're going to go tips down. Get in there. Alright, and for your ear hole sakes, I'm going to hit the mute button while I give this a few taps, because this hair stacker, the pad on it's pretty stiff. And you don't want your hair stackers to be too over padded, because it's that sudden shock, it's that stop that actually helps it stack. So hold on one second. And just like that, we're fully stacked, baby. Alright, let's see how we did. The grand reveal. Ooh, that's nice. Pull those out. And we'll measure out our wing just a little bit, maybe a little bit past the bend. One soft wrap. Pull up, pull up, pull up, and you can pull down. A few up pulls, and then you can pull down. Now I had at one point a little straw. But before we even do anything up front there, we're going to do our little split wing. So we'll find about the halfway point. Right between that wing. Nope, we're going to go a little bit more. So that's the beauty of it, is we can just come over here and just grab a couple more. Just trying to make those two little bushy barts. Pull our little 210 denier, doubled over, so that's what, 420. And then as you notice, as we add pressure, we're still getting more flare. But I think at this point we can go ahead and trim off our little split wing attachment. And then I like doing a little, kind of like the little caddis, little bullet head up front. Suppose we could have went just a little bit further forward with this, but I think we did all right. I like the little puff heads on the dry flies like this. Let's go ahead and clean this up. Got a couple randoms. Otherwise, I think we did pretty good. And I definitely should have just go ahead and completed this with my whip finish prior to. I do this sometimes. Oop. Can we salvage our whip? I think so. See, this is what I'm talking about. Nothing happens perfect here on. Can't get my whip finish to work. There we go. So our wings are split. I can give it a little mash down. And then underneath, we're going to give our hackle a little straight trim. Clean that up right underneath. I think that'll work. So there you have it. That's my take on a Spruce Moth. That's so hard to say. Spruce Moth, Spruce Moth, Spruce Moth. We're going to add a little dab of insurance policy underneath. Help keep that all together. And our insurance tonight is brought to you by Sally Hansen's. Although, I wonder if Sally Hansen's is fully aware of the magnitude of their involvement in the world of fly tying and the sport of fly fishing. 'Cause what other hobby or industry is out there that uses fingernail polish that's not, I don't know. What do you guys think? I think that'll work. That'll catch. I hope so. I most definitely hope so. So let's go ahead and set this one off to the side and we'll give that another try. All right, welcome again for those of you who are just joining us. We are tying up some spruce moths. Haha. And we're going to be using a size 12 hook. Alright, in the vise you go. Size 12 dry fly hook. This one is made by Moonlit. It's a ML055, size 12. Most of the spruce moths patterns that I have seen, read, or watched generally say about size 10 to 14. And that's why we settled on the size 12, kind of right in the middle of the road. Good size, meat and potatoes, kind of dry fly. Definitely going to try throwing some of these out there here in a couple of weeks on the Upper Madison. I'm definitely going to be trying to throw some of this with my Tenkara rod. Let's go ahead and start our dubbing loop. We can do this pretty early. It doesn't matter really when or how far back this goes. Not how far back, but let's make sure we get a good lock on it. Alright, rub-a-dub-dub. Let's add some dubbing. Once again, I'm going to be using this Antron. Little sandy Antron. And I'm going to need just a little bit more than that. Well, I know we're going to need just a little bit more, but let's go ahead and get it started. We'll do one wrap behind, and we're going to build up a tapered body. I like giving it just a little tap just to kind of see where it's set and how it feels. If you have two hands, use them. If you don't, imagination is your only limitation. There's literally so many ways to tie a fly, like physically. All sorts of different apparatus, so much variety as far as vices and things of that such. I was watching this this female from Japan, and she was tying on a pair of needle nose pliers squished together with a pair of vice grips. And I see that and it's like, man, don't let anybody tell you you can't do something. Alright, let's take our little dun gray dun half cape. Not quite the smallest. We're not going for the size 20. We're going for right about there. That's about the size And I'll show you on the hackle gauge. So we're measuring out about 16s, getting a little bit smaller. I'm just going for a little fuzzy, a little warm fuzzy there. So we'll go ahead and trim off the bottom. And then we'll do our little high and tight. Make a little notch. I wonder if I put something else behind that, you could see that just a little bit better. Alright, let's tie this in. You know what time it is. We'll just palmer this to the rear. Open space spiral. Leave a little bit of room in between the wraps. You don't want them completely touching. Be oh so mindful around the tip of that hook. Take this all the way to the rear. I never got to do this prior to palmering, but I want to spin my thread and tighten it up. I'm going to spin it, let's see, as I'm looking at it, we're spinning it counterclockwise, or anti-clockwise. That way when we start spinning this forward, we're not going to do this as a reverse wrap because our reverse wrap was actually our forward wrap as a hackle working our way backwards, if that makes sense. That way our material crisscrosses at as many points as possible. If we did this as a reverse wrap, it would run parallel. It's like a pair of railroad tracks right next to that hackle. We don't want that. We want it to lock it down. That's a lighter than wire lockdown ribbing. So, I mean, if you think of how strong our thread is, you know, just in and itself, we should, you know, when you double it and twist it, I mean, you're adding a little bit of strength to it, especially when you're talking about like thread and floss and such like that. You know what? The tip of this feather is not the garbage. That goes into the special, it goes into my little scraps bin. I got lots of little goodies in there. Maybe maybe next week we could have a scrappy bag challenge. I don't know. What do you guys want to see next week? Let me check the chat there. My dad says, I expect you to catch a nice rainbow with that on the third cast. Well, third cast is your gig. So just so everybody knows, Richard Husingfeld, if you haven't picked it up by now, Richard is my father. He is to take partial credit of creating this wonderful fly tying crazy person instructor. But his nickname is Three Cast Rich. Three Cast Rich, that's what I call him at least. And I am the professor. And if I follow you on social media, on like Instagram, I only give A pluses. But I don't give them out easy. Not everybody gets one. Before I get too far, I want to not forget about my... This is just going to help with our little split wing. This is just a white 210 denier. And then just snip a little off of the end, because this really doesn't need to be on the bobbin while we're working. We'll mash that down, kind of give ourselves a little bit of room for our wing. This is our 210 denier, our white, right on top. And that's going to help us split our wing. Alright, let's take our crinkle hair, our little underwing. Do our standard multiplication by division. You really don't end up with too much. Let's do, that looks good. So we'll start off, take half of it on the near side. Not quite on the side, but on a slight angle. Might as well help it out. Take a couple of wraps. Fold it over and we'll get it on the other side. That's not bad at all. Tuck our thread down and away. Trim our wings to length. Right about to the bend, because it's just an underwing. Alright, now for the fun part. On to the deer hair. Alright. And this is just kind of a random white patch. This is pretty cool. I love how it goes from tan into the white tips. Sure, you could use a bleached elk hair or deer hair, but in this particular case I struck gold for this pattern. And I think that's something that can be pretty unique about flies. It's like once the material's gone, it could be gone forever. It could be the last of it. Go ahead and brush out, comb out, pick out, clean that all out. Give it a little rotation, twist it. Alright, tips down into the old hair stacker. I'm using a small hair stacker. If you have multiple sizes of hair stackers like I do, you'll want to find your smallest one. I'm going to give this a few taps. Hold on. Very good. Alright, we're going to eyeball just a little bit past the bend. Set that right there. We'll give it a couple of nice tight wraps, flaring that up and out. A couple of wraps up front to help lock it into position. We'll get back here to where the action is. And then we'll do our flare before we trim our head. In fact, we'll even do our whip finish before we trim our head out. So I'm looking for about halfway on that wing, the back part. And this doesn't have to be perfect. We're not We're not shooting for a perfect here. I think that'll do us. Trim the thread. We'll do our whip finish up here. Yeah, save that final trim till after our whip finish, because that way we can hold the hair back. And I think I crowded the eye on this. No. I think we'll be able to get our tippet in there. It's not pretty, but it'll work. That'll work. We'll get our line in there. Oh, we got to trim the belly. And this will be good to go. So when this bad boy hits the water, should float, should swim. What do you think? I think that'll be just fine, fine, fine. Let's add a little dab of insurance policy. We'll toss that in there. We'll go right underneath where all that thread is. And we can even add a little drop right up top. Bada boom, bada bing. Let's take a close-up on this one. I got no solid cork for that to grab onto. There you have it. Oh, let's do probably grab it with the hook grabber. The hook grabber. There we go. Now we can see the underside. What do you think? Maybe just a little bit smaller of the head. What do you think? Oh, I see chats happening in the chat. Let's check it out. Let's take a quick pause. See what the chat is all about. So Brett seeds need to go AFK for a minute. Not sure what that is. To reply to my question about something jiggy shrimpy next week. Okay. Jiggy shrimpy. All right. How about we do something on this? Well, you can't see it. We'll use some mustads. 32,756. We'll do something big and shrimpy on a 1/0. We'll do that. So my father, he needs to help remind me. Uh, Stackers, the doctors have cones. Yeah, actually, yes. Oh, that's brilliant. And those come in different sizes. Hmm. Little cones for taking a ear looksy, a looky looksy, Pikachu in your ear hole. Hmm, that's pretty cool. Anyways, yeah, so this should fish pretty well. I think so. I think it's. My dad says a rainbow. I'm betting a big old butter brown, big old butter Cleveland brown, all the way from downtown Cleveland is gonna smash this guy. So, like I said at the beginning of this live stream, this is, and I say this in a lot of my live streams, what you're going to see me tie is a way to tie a fly. You're never going to hear me say this is the only way. This is the way. No, the way is through it. Any way through it is to it. Any way to it is through it. I don't know how that works. Anywho, let's tie some more. What do we got for time? I look there, there. So many clocks. Everybody's counting. But nobody's counting. All right, why not? All right, cool. I'll have to think of something shrimpy. There's a shrimp pattern that I saw once at one point that was tied with different types of knots. It was basically a knotting or a woven pattern, um, and it was tied with mono or fluoro. I would guess fluoro, maybe. Would you want to tie it with fluoro if you had a ball of it? Would it float? I don't know. Maybe I'll look into that one. I like the idea of shrimp. I like the idea of shrimp, some scrimp patterns. Although nowhere to fish a shrimp pattern here in Minnesota, but a shrimp ain't nothing but a pink crawdad in my opinion. Well, not really, but all right. So we're using our size 12 hook. Once again, this is a Moonlit ML055 size 12 dry fly hook. I like these because they got this groovy little shape, nice little bend to them. They're just not a straight shank. We'll work our way towards the rear. We'll make our dubbing loop, which will double, because we're not going to use it as a dubbing loop. We're just using it for its thread holding ability. All right, once we got that secured in the rear with the gear, let's go ahead and dub up the body. I'm using this kind of a sandy, tannish antron. Which I'm sure somebody scientific out there could, specify the Xenon, antron, rayon, all those ons. That's just fancy speak for plastic. Because that's essentially all this is a synthetic dubbing. It's taking different colored microfiber plastics, which I don't know. The more you read about microplastic pollution, it's not a good thing. But I don't know. That would kind of rock the entire industry if they said no synthetics. We'll build up a little bit of a tapered body. I'm going to add just a little bit more. A little more dab-a-dubbing. This is going on fairly well. No need for wax on my end. But you might find that you'll want to. Individual results may vary. Avoid where prohibited. Not available in all stores. May be known to cause cancer in the state of California. Alright. A scud is a freshwater shrimp. They're a little go-to flies. Yeah, it's getting scuddy. I'd be throw a Ray Charles. I like a Ray Charles. Maybe we should tie some Ray Charles up here sometime soon. Fly so good, even Ray Charles himself could catch a fish with it. So I've been told. Give that a little cut off the fluff, and then we'll just do our little notch, a little high and tight, as I call it. Kind of clear off that stem, or the quill. Is it a quill or is it a stem? Is the stem a quill? All quills are stems, but not all stems are quills. I don't know. Now we're getting into super deep thoughts. Remember to spin our thread that we're using as our ribbing. It should roll towards the front because we're spinning the counterweight counterclockwise or anti-clockwise. Alright, we got some tension on that. Now we can wrap this to the rear. I'll space these out just a little bit. Ding the lucky hackle bell. Ward off the evil hackle spirits. And bring the good juju to the fly. Alright, we'll do a couple tight wraps right there at the rear. And then we'll just work our way through that body. Make sure we got tension on our thread. That's because of the way we spun it. It just wants to wrap and hug the body. It just really wants to be there. If you spun it the opposite way, it would kind of want to, I don't know what it would do. It would want to do just the opposite. It would want to peel up and off of the body, maybe. I don't know. I haven't done that yet. Trim that off the butt. I think we did all right. Alright, let's find our 210 denier flat wax thread, which is just a white floss. I mean, we could probably do you know what I could do? Maybe instead of the thread is I could throw a couple strands of this in there. Now we'll just do a thread. Thread's cheap. Squeak, squeak. Right off the bobbin, my squeaky bobbin. Park it right on top. Just tuck that out of the way. Ooh, we're doing good, we're doing good. All right. Let's do our little underwing. Again, I'm just using this crinkle hair. Just a little bit of it. A little bit goes a long way. We're going to fold that over once. Fold that over twice. And it's essentially just keep folding it over until you get your desired thickness. And then after a while, you get lucky. Fold that back. I suppose if you wanted, you could actually, we could do a wrap behind. That'll help it stick out. Alright, I like it. I'm digging it. I guess sea monkeys are also a type of shrimp too, right? They're just a brine shrimp. And actually, Minnesota does have some shrimp farms. So you get some farm fresh shrimp right out of here in Minnesota. I don't eat shrimp, but I hear it's just pretty good. Shrimp farm. And I don't know about you, but every time I think or hear shrimp, I always think of our good friend Bubble Gump. Which is amazing how that became a thing. Oh, we grabbed too much too hard. Can we salvage it? Maybe. I think so. Let's throw this in the hair stacker and find out. I'll just drop that in. Hold on. Alright, we'll see how it came out. I think that was a mild success. Oh, except we gotta put it back. Put it back. Because we gotta trim our wings, our underwings first. Don't trim our floss. Right about to the bend. Thought those were looking a little bit big. Alright, let's dig in there and split that wing up. I didn't quite split it as good as I want it, but little bit's better than nothing. Get under there with our whip finish. Left ourselves a little bit more room up front to that eye. I'll just do a little bit of trimming. Here we go. I think that'll work just fine, fine, fine. Sea monkeys are hard to get out the skewers. You need teeny tiny little skewers. Hey. Alright, let's add a little dab of glue right on the bottom. Where did I put it? I don't know. It's in a clear container. Come on, Sally Hansons. Where'd I put you? There it is. Right by the bodkin. Next to the bodkin, of course. It's not a sea monkey. This is an actual monkey. Don't monkey around. It's the bench monkey. Every bench needs a monkey. What was that, the trunk monkey? Oh gosh. What was that all about? What was that all about? The trunk monkey. Little monkey that jumped out and I don't know. I don't know. Alright, let's grab our hook grabber and we'll take a closer look at this one. So that's the fish view. I think I almost need to go just a little bit smaller of the head. What do you think? Smaller head or no? I think it looks fine. Maybe. But that looks buggy. Buggy, buggy, buggy. Perfect? No. Buggy? Absolutely. Catch a fish? Should. Alright. Let's do another one. Because if we keep tying, then eventually we'll get them right. And what's right? That's whatever's left. War does not determine who is right. Rather, it determines only who is left. Somebody a lot smarter than me said that one day. And I think that's true. Some moths have giant antennae. Man, I tell you what, I used to work at a ballpark. Lansing Lugnuts at the time, because ballpark names apparently change now. Used to be Oldsmobile Park, home of the Lansing Lugnuts. And the moths and insects that would get attracted by the stadium lights were just absolutely phenomenal. I mean, I'm talking stuff with a wingspan the size of a frisbee. Like big, 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 big. Like if you saw it coming, you would. Ooh. But nobody ever messed with them. I mean, they would. I suppose they would probably sweep them up at the end of the night, if after they're done doing whatever. But some pretty big insects. We'll do a couple of turns around our loop, which our loop is just going to be our ribbing, thread ribbing. Let's come in with our little tan antron sand, tan, same thing to me. At this point we'll make our W noodle. Nice tight noodle. I like that. Get it started. I like it. And you're allowed to pause. Give your W noodle a little twist if need be. We will allow that. In fact, we're going to add just a little pinch more. I remember one time I was teaching out at the VA, and one of the veterans called it a belly button's worth. That's a belly button's worth. So what's a belly button's worth? It's just about the size of you pull out of your belly button. Alright, so now we have a belly button amount of materials as a unit of measure. I'll allow that. That works too. Alright, let's find our hackle. This is just a gray dun gray, iron dun, kind of a silver dry fly hackle. And we're undersizing it a little bit, but not too tiny. What's nice about this hackle is it's just consistent throughout the feather. Come on, AA Ron, grab the right one. Here we go. just go ahead and trim off the fluff. And we'll do our little notch on either side of that hook. I was thinking maybe I could show it on the back of this. If you can see the just a little trim on the barbs. Alright, we're going to pre-spin our ribbing, which means I'm going to spin it and roll it towards my fingertip. If it's rolling towards your fingertip, towards the right, you're spinning in the proper direction. Alright, let's do it! Open spiral, front to rear. Oh boy, it broke. Let's see, we'll just start our ribbing forward and all will be well, because that's what's holding it all together to begin with. And you notice I'm not stressing about capturing any of this hackle, because it just kind of bops out of the way. It's dang near invisible. Pert near. Yeah, the whiting is definitely worth saving up for. Metz is pretty good too. You know, but and then there's other just like super hybrid brands, which only the highest quality of fly tires would even know about. I never even heard of some of them. Sideling Hackle or Sideling Hill also makes some really good hackle. I've enjoyed their stuff. I have a little the remnants of a sample pack left. I should tie something with that last little bit someday. All right, let's go ahead and smash that, mash that. I suppose we could just use the same thread, but from the ribbing to split the wing, but I think that's just a little too much, asking too much out of the thread. We want something with some width too, so I'm going with this 210. It's a floss. The floss is the boss. Good enough. Alright, let's grab our... Actually, you know what we could do? Might be a little bit too much. I was thinking about possibly doing crystal flash as an underwing, but I think it might not work out so well. We'll stick with our white crinkle wing And it's the same as the parapost wing material and such. If we were to do a parachute fly tonight, that's what we would use, this crinkle wing. Alright, we'll set that up there to the right there, the near side of us. And the far side of us. And then for giggles and grins, I'm going to do one wrap behind each one. Alright, let's get our deer here. Oh dear. Oh my. And this is just, like I said, I probably just sound like a broken duck now, just repeating myself. But I think I got really lucky with this patch of deer here. 'Cause it's all, I just love the white tips on this. It's light colored to begin with, but then you throw the white tips on it. Because if I were to just throw some, white bucktail or something in there, I don't know if how good that would work out. Maybe some calf tail. Ooh, a calf tail would be pretty good for an underwing, maybe, if you don't have. Or maybe you could just do calf tail straight up for the wing. But calf tail isn't very hollow. Calf tail makes for good, oh, let me hit the mute button. Don't want y'all to go. Couple of wraps underneath. And the wraps underneath really help keep the whole thing from doing that, which is rolling. Alright, let's see about dividing that hair in the back. Sometimes you just have to force your fly into compliance. If it doesn't quite fit, make it fit. That felt good. I like when I can feel the whip finish actually seat itself. Kind of gives me a warm fuzzy feeling that everything took. Did get a little bit of a rollover, but it'll be alright. We've established these are not going to be perfect. Well, I tell you what though, these 2-hour live streams, I really start to feel it in my back after the first hour and a half. What is the longest amount of time you've spent on your bench tying flies at any given time for one sitting? Yeah, that one came out all right. One side's a little bit bigger than the other. Should float, should swim all right though. I think that'll work. See what I mean? I got a little bit of little cattywampus, little kitty cattywampus, but I think that'll be fine. Just fine. Alright, a little dab of gluea right underneath. Spruce Moth. Spruce Moth. Spruce Moth. I think that'll hold. That'll hold her down. All right. You guys want to see something ironic? The irony. See, I do things that make myself laugh. So, I've got this timber and fins, right? Montreal, Quebec. Smells beautiful. Cedar. Ah, smells so good. But what does cedar do? Prevents moths, keeps moths out, right? Except that I put the moths in this one. Ha 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 ha. We're doing all right. Well, I think I'm probably going to be good for one more, and then I'm going to call it quits. Because the headphones are starting to squeeze a little too tight, and my back is starting to tense up. But we'll do one more. One more for the peoples. And I think this one we're going to just send it. We're just going to send it. I am thinking, you know what, on this next one we are going to try, unless I tie in. Alright, that's what we're going to do. I hope you followed that along in my own brain. Size 12 hook. We're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to be using the crystal flash in this one. I think that'll work. We'll do our dubbing forward. You know, I wanted to do... We got enough of those. Let me do one with this. Just for giggles and grins, we're going to try some super bright. Super bright gray. I think this is going to give us a little bit too dark of a body, but we shall see. Or it might be one of those things that's like, why haven't I been doing this the whole time? Get her started. Because it's really, ultimately, the dubbing is just something to help seat the hackle into. I think if we just tried to wrap hackle over a bare hook, it doesn't have anything to cuddle with. This will allow it just a little bit of body. That'll work. Let's grab our hackle. I'm using a nice dry fly hackle on this for consistency. Nice even size, nice. Let's go right a bit there. Tie in our hackle. Oh, let's do our pre-spin on our ribbing. And if this was a wire or silver, I suppose you could do a silver wire, but I just don't like doing wire in dry flies. That's something I need to get over, I guess. But we'll just space this out, working our way back. Nice and bushy, I like it. Couple wraps at the rear. Then we'll start working this bad boy forward. Kind of like the gray variation, but it's not really, I don't think it's as accurate. As far as a representation of color, I like the tan. That's what color the Spruce Moth is. So this one is for fun. Save that little bit for later. You might need a hackle tip. Smush, smush, smush. Alright, crystal flash. I'll grab a few strands of that. Tie this on top. We're gonna see how that works. And then we're going to do our underwing in Crystal Flash 2. So let's grab a couple strands. That's 2, 4, that's 5. 5 strands of Crystal Flash. We'll fold those over. That'll make 10. Then we'll fold that over once more. So these 4 strands are a lot longer. We're going to keep these tucked in out of the way. Boy, that's kind of clunky chunky. You know what, we're going to abort that part. We're just going to stick with our white crinkle hair. Just too thick to be an underwing, at least for a fly at this size, this stage of the game. But I have high hopes for our Crystal Flash wing splitter. Because then, even if nothing else, we added just a little bit of sparkle. Just a little bit of sparkle. Little bit. Take a wrap on both sides. Yeah, buddy. I like that. Ready to boot the bend. Well, there's only one way to find out which will work better, the gray body or the white body. And then, even then, that's what worked better in that instant. Because I guarantee you, if you go back the next day, you might like it or they might not. But I tell you what, this has been the, at least for bass, me and my world of bass fishing, white and light colors, yellow. I haven't even gotten to chartreuse yet. I've been doing white, and if white doesn't work, I'll go to yellow. If yellow doesn't work, then I go to chartreuse. At least that's what we've been doing this year. And, well, now let me tap this out. It stacks so much better when I can be loud with it. Which, if you tie flies in the middle of the night, don't tie something that you have to stack hair with. Well, I mean, do what you want. If you live with somebody and you want to continue living, you might want to show a little respect here. Alright, let's take this crystal flash. That's the problem with this spring sometimes. Sometimes it just bites a little bit too hard. I think that'll do us. Alright, we'll do a solid whip finish here at the front. Get under here and trim that right underneath. Oh, it is nice. This is probably my favorite one all night. Nice fatty. I like this one. And we'll finish this with a little dab of glue right underneath and up top, and that will be good to go. GTG. Came up with a new acronym the other day. Or let's see. It was last weekend. Last Saturday. LFBIN or LFBIN. Looks fishy, but it's not. When you see some water and it looks fishy, I'd hit that. I'd fish that. But you go up to it and you fish it and there's nobody home. Or it's something you see driving on the road and you see it, crossing a bridge. I swear, so many bridges. I go over every bridge. I look. How's that water look? What's that water line look like? Is it high? Is it low? Man, that looks fishy. I always find myself thinking that. Sometimes I even say it out loud. And nobody's there. Man, that looks fishy. So that's why you have a tenkara rod and you just jump out and go hit it. If it's public access, if you're not trespassing, then you want to be careful. Man, that's fishy as fudge. Just a couple to trim. Yeah. That's the thing. You start messing with something too much, and you'll end up going too far. So I'm going to leave that at that. Get the vise out of the way. Not the straightest of heads, but that'll definitely work. Definitely will work. So that's my spruce moth. My spruce moth. And now maybe you can go tie your spruce moth. That's why we do this. Yeah, that's cool. Well, we're gonna wrap it up just a little bit early. Because my poor back is killing me. I love you guys and gals, but I'm not throwing my back out for a live stream. Ready to just sit proper. Proper tying posture matters. Unfortunately, I've got to reach over the camera to get to yous. But we're gonna leave it at that, folks. Something scrimpy on a jig hook next week. Let me write that down. Be on the lookout. Trout Unlimited is sending their renewal notices, whatever you want to call it. Jig. What they do is you get return address labels and a little pad of paper, which I always get excited about. But yeah, anyways, thank y'all for tuning in. Stay healthy, everybody. Please stay safe. There's this Delta variant out there. If you're not fully vaccinated, it can get pretty nasty. So do your thing. Happy tying, everybody. Tight lines. Peace.